Alright, well, I wasn't going to do a Fleabay edition here, and I opened up to look at things this morning, and I see three Atlas shapers newly listed all in a row here. So that grabbed my attention enough that I thought we might take a look at them, and you might be able to gain some information from them. So we're just going to go through these, and then we'll quickly go through the rest of the stuff, but I'll give you my thoughts on these very quickly. There's a Atlas Metal Shaper, 7B Atlas Shaper metalworking milling machine, pre-owned, $16.50 or best offer and free local pickup. So, and I'm just going to go down through these from the top on down and give you my thoughts on them, because I see a little bit of stuff on each one of them. Atlas Metal Shaper, 7B Atlas Shaper metalworking milling machine. I have owned this shaper for many years and it has had very little use. It is in great working condition with everything working as it should. It is a very accurate and tight machine. Comes with original 4-leg stand and vise. Can help load and shipping and all that good stuff. So anyway, let's just look at the big pictures unless we just see something that grabs our attention. Now, several things with this machine. And when we look at this, initial impression is this is an older machine. It's been kicking around for, well, they're all older machines, but been kicking around for a while. When I look at this vise handle, this would be an original vise handle, but looking at how far it's kind of hanging down there, I question if that's got the 3/8 square hole or if that's actually the wrong handle and it has a larger hole in there, like the half-inch hole like we see in a lot of these listed. Could be wrong, but that handle's hanging down quite a bit to where I don't think it's very tight on the shaft for the vise there. So that's the handle. If it was the correct handle, it would fit there. It would fit here for the table cross feed, and it would also fit up here where they fitted another handle for it. And this is just a square hole too. Like I say, this handle fits on all three of those positions. Plus it does your adjustments here. So things have been changed around quite a bit on this machine. This handle they've got here is somebody's homemade handle, which, you know, depending on what you want and what's good, bad, or otherwise, why, you can make your own decisions there. Now, these two bolts sticking out the side of this, I suspect this was very common in one of the early metalworking books put out by the Home Shop Machinist, by one of the regular contributors there. They showed a attachment to go on these shaper vices where you basically took a square 1-gallon can or some sort of a container and hung it out off the front, and it was hung off of two pieces of bar of some sort that engaged on those two pins on either side, and they would have extended out either side. I suspect that's what those are for. And it was just a catch pan so you didn't shoot chips all over the place. Kind of a neat little accessory. I had one on mine for a while, but I suspect that's what those are. This was a 7B. It's got the foot underneath and the sliding shape or piece on the base. Now this is one of those stupid ass 3D printed auto advances for the table cross slide. We know I don't think too highly of them, but neither here nor there. So this has been changed at some point in time. That would have had a broken gearbox cover on it. Handles missing on the big guard. This tool holder is a handmade tool holder or somebody's shop built tool holder. So there again, good, bad, otherwise, looks to be functional, but it's not a original tool holder. So second picture shows us basically the same thing. Now, one of the advantages here is it does have the original stand underneath it. It's got the, you know, the original cast iron stand that Atlas produced for them. This clapper box, to me, there's something that looks goofy about it, and I can't tell you exactly what it is. It might be perfectly proper. You need to investigate that a little bit more. It doesn't look quite right to me. Not sure exactly why, but something just doesn't feel right to me about it. Here again, you can see how far this handle's hanging down, kind of drooping. There's a little bit better picture of the tool holder. So, like I say, shop built. Another one. Like I say, this clapper box might be perfectly fine. It just doesn't, for some reason, it just doesn't look right to me. I don't know. Got a red switch cover on there. Looks to be a red switch cover. Those were originally, I think most of them were black. This should have had the studs coming up through the bottom with a nut on top to lock them in place. We've got Allen head cap screws here, so they've got some sort of a T-nut underneath. And I don't know that these things are anything that's really wrong with this machine. It's just things that strike me as not being original. Now, the other thing that sticks in my mind with this, and the thing that would detract from it quite a bit, is we've got this picture and one more. You never see a picture of the other side of this machine, so we don't know if that small guard's there. What this leads me to believe, and of course I always look for the worst in these pictures because the seller's trying to sell them and we're trying to be detectives and find out why they're not giving you as many good pictures as maybe you should. I suspect that this machine is missing the guard on the other side, and you can't really see the oil tray on the back either. So the oil tray, at least in some semblance, has to be there because it's what supports this guard. But is the stud, is it broken out on the other side of the oil tray? Is this a shop built hanger to mount this guard off of? You know, we don't know. We don't have enough information. We don't have enough information here to give $1,650 for this machine. So anyway, there's the first one. Go to the second one. Atlas Metal Shaper 7B Atlas Shaper Metalworking Milling Machine. Atlas Tooling Pre-Owned $12.50 or best offer, free local pickup. So, nice machine, fresh from a one-man shop. Let's see what the actual description says. Very nice Atlas metal shaper with original stand and original vise with vise handle. Everything works. It just needs a good cleaning and detail. That's part fun, right? It has a 110 volt motor, needs to be installed. This is a working machine. Look at the pictures. If you have been looking for a shaper, here is the real deal. If you want it shipped, talk to me. Once again, problems, problems, problems. Big pictures only. Got the stand underneath. Got the motor underneath. Now, is this the original motor? Is this a replacement motor? It's going to be a replacement motor of some sort, but is it, was it originally a three-phase motor on this machine? Which, very possibly, I see some yellow and black markings here. These are normally, you know, you'll see safety coloring on these on a lot of machines that have been used in either a commercial application, a military, you know, application, something like that. Does not have a switch here. The crossfeed gear and the clapper box are different colors, so they've been replaced at some point in time. Those are the things that jumps out at me right there. But wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. I'd like to see a better look at that handle. That looks like a lock nut handle for on an Atlas. You know, one of the knobs that goes on like the tailstock of a 6-inch or something like that. That style knob. So overarm locks on the milling machine, something. So anyway, we know this has been changed. We know this has been changed. Okay, we've mounted the switch out on the front. That's why we don't see a switch here. I hadn't spotted that before when I looked at these. Let's go on to the next picture. And we might as well talk about this right here. This is indeed an Atlas vise, but it is not a Atlas shaper vise. This is a vise that fits on the milling machine, differentiated by the 2-bolt hole or 2 hold down bolts on the base of it, whereas the shaper actually has 4 bolts that bolt it down to the table. So the wrong vise. Switches on the front. That way you can stand in front of the machine and get whacked by the clapper as it comes forward. Now this may have been just transported in, you know, auction find or something like that. You notice that the belt tension handle and pulley brake has got a rope tied to it here. Why that is, I don't really know, other than trying to lock it in place. It does have the original guards. The mount that mounts up on the back of the shaper into this bracket is there. It's underneath the motor. It shows a picture of it later on. I kind of question the condition of that base, and you can't really see it. So at least our guards are there. The oil trays in the back. Another picture, it looks like there's that same cream color underneath the back of the cross slide. Now, has that been replaced along with the clapper box and the parts on the other side? You can't really tell for sure. Let's see, when we look at the mounting, the tension bolt's not there, and it looks like none of the mounting bolts are there with it. Is that, I don't know if there's a better picture or not. There's something that made me believe that this may have been cracked or may not be quite as it should. And it does not, I don't believe all of the mounting bracket is there. Maybe, yeah, maybe it is. I believe there's one of the studs coming out. There should be another stud over here to mount it onto the mounting bracket. Internally, that's about condition you used to see. That's a little bit dry compared to a lot of the ones we see. Yeah, it looks kind of like this whole assembly has been replaced. It matches the color on this, so this is for some reason there's some parts been changed out on this, which you see that a lot on these older machines, but nonetheless, it's indication of something bad's probably happened to it along the way. Definitely needs some TLC. But yeah, there's a better picture of the vise. Nice looking vise, but that's a milling machine vise, not a shaper vise. Now, when you compare this to the last machine, look at how straight the crank handle fits on there, on that stud. It's not drooping down like it was on the last machine. I would suspect that last machine had the wrong internal dimensions on the handle. Yeah, that's a lock nut that goes on would be on the milling machine. So this has been assembled from some other parts. Good, bad, or otherwise. Probably a better buy than $16.50 for what it is, but you're gonna have to make that decision for yourself. Okay, let's go on and look at the third one very quickly. This is Atlas 7B metal shaper machine. Runs smoother than silk pantyhose. $1,200 pre-owned, but then it says $500 buy it now, plus $1,200 shipping. To me, that's an indication there's something kind of hokey going on there. So let's go back and look at it. This is a fairly new seller. Probably doesn't, I don't know. Anyway. I have a fully functional Atlas 7V shaper machine. Runs smooth just the way you want it to. Is older machine with normal wear. Pics are still shots from a video of it in full action. The price is $1,200 plus shipping if you want it. Policy only allows me to price it at $500. Sorry, wish I could let it go for that, but can't. So I don't really understand why it wasn't listed for $1,200. Policy won't allow him to do it. Now maybe Fleabay has something for new sellers to where they can only sell items up to a certain amount. That to me almost leads me to believe that we're trying to avoid seller fees or something that way. Anyway, let's look at this machine here. Big pictures. No guard. No big guard on the side. No stand, which I'm surprised to see that there's two of them on stands here listed. And that's really all I can tell from that picture. We may have to go back and look at the smaller pictures. That is a proper vise. Now this, I believe, is the correct handle for on these. If you go back and look at one of those earlier machines, it had a two-handle, it had two of these handles, which would be the balanced handle off of a lathe. So one of those earlier machines, maybe it was the last one that had some other goofy parts on there. That's been changed too on the other machine. And I guess that clapper box on the earlier one is fine. Maybe what's throwing me is that earlier one has a hole right here in the side of the clapper box, and that may be why it didn't look right to me. Anyway, I believe that was the first machine. Otherwise, what do we got? You can't tell a whole lot from these pictures. We have no oil door. We have no smaller guard. We have no oil pan off the back of it. That's proper shaper vise. This wiper cover is kind of scrunched up, which that's common on these. If you run the ram back too far, why the clapper box, if it's lowered down, why it will collide with the way wipers there on the ram. Yep, no guard. No guards for either side. No oil tray. Kind of a, all three of them are kind of ragged looking machines in one aspect or another. Now, one thing that I do see is if this is a running machine, why is our motor not attached here to the back, other than the fact that, is that there or is that broken off? What's, must be just bolted to the table. We may have to go back and look at these pictures a little bit closer. I think we'll do that. I believe all three of them are overpriced. Quite a bit of staining on that vertical way there. There's no switch mount on the side where it belongs. It's been blanked out. Pictures don't give you a very good indication of what's going on here. No tool holder. I just got a cutting bit there locked in, spaced off with another cutting bit. Yeah, the mounts are all broken on this. If you look right there on the base itself, the mounts are broken there, and okay, well, now you know. So, $1,200 plus shipping, free local pickup. No. And see, this to me is extremely misleading. Pics were still shots from a video of it in full action. It can't be in full action if the motor is not attached to the, it's possible they have that motor bolted down, but I don't see anything bolting the shaper down to the wood block it's set on. And if the motor's hanging off in space there, how can it be in operation? I believe we are being misled. It's possible I'm mistaken there, and it looks like it is making cuts apparently one way or the other, but I believe we're being misled. Anyway, there's our for what it's worth on shapers. There's nothing else new and exciting here that we haven't looked at before. There is some, oh, now we've got our, I haven't really looked at this stuff for a few days. Rare Atlas 7B Shaper at S7 101 guard, excellent original condition used. It's $299.99 and $44.33 shipping. I believe these are the same guards. Maybe they're not. We just looked at some green guards like this that I think they wanted about $400 for this larger guard and $300 for the smaller. Right below this one there's a smaller one listed for $199. These are both from a seller. These are both from a seller that we see a lot of new and used parts from. Yeah, these are still way overpriced. Still way overpriced. Huh. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to waste a whole lot of time. That shapers, and like I say, I wasn't going to do one, but I saw those three all listed right there, one after the other, so I thought that was worth taking a look at. Milling machines, nothing spectacular here. There's a arbor cutter guard cover they want $500 for. What a ripoff. The horizontal milling machine arbor support arm and bracket, which is just the straight bar. I think that's 1.25 inch, 1.5 bar or something like that, and then the bracket on the end they want $650. I think when this was originally listed, I think I saw it for $750 or $850, and now it's down to $650. There's one of these crank handles for the machines, either the lathe, well, either the shaper or the mill, but it's got the 1/2 inch square hole. You got to watch out for those. The Atlas stuff is going to be 3/8 and not half. Horizontal milling machine M1-6 knee pre-owned, $250, best offer and free shipping. Yeah, for a strip knee you should offer free shipping. Those are worth about 75 bucks. Still here trying to rip us off. These are too negative. I'm trying to get away from some of this stuff. Here's we're looking at lathe stuff now. Atlas Craftsman lathe, 10-12 inch forward reverse motor switch and bracket. $95 with no bids, $125 buy it now, and $11.75 shipping. It's an original switch. These are kind of cool switches. I bought a casting and the top cap just to use as a basis for reproductions, and haven't had time to do any farther with that. But most of these, after they've been kicking around for so many years, these switches are still usually functional, but I found that the contacts are either well worn in them or they've gotten really loose and that type of thing. This one, of course, has been repainted. I'll just throw a picture of that up real quick so you can, there's only the one picture. So there we go. Other than that, I'm not going to spend much time here. I think that'll pretty much cover it. So we're going to be doing less and less of these little Fleabay editions. We've got some other stuff going on that's going to take more time. But anyway, hopefully, especially with those shapers, that gives you a little bit of information when you're looking at them and what to be looking for. So anyway, comments, suggestions, leave them in the comment section for me below. And as always, guys, thanks for taking the time to watch.